Welcome back. Let's look at the screen. IndusInd Bank is actually recovering now after that conversation that we had with Mr. Sopti, but market overall is declining, 136 points lower on the Nifty Bank and 42 points lower on the Nifty. And just look at DHFL. Once again, that stock has started to collapse. So 6% lower is the top F&O loser now. You had Reliance Capital, Reliance Infra. So a lot of these stocks falling now. Ashwani Gujral, Mitesh Thakkar and Prakash Kaba back with us. Ashwani, are you buying this dip or is there a different trade on the index and your stock calls?
See, we were still holding on to yesterday's lows. So you should try to buy it because again we are looking at short covering coming into several of the banks. And given that yesterday we bounced back from the 20-day moving average and today also the same seems to be playing out. My sense is that if we are able to hold on to this 11,000 say 830, 850, then chances are that we could again have some sort of a pullback. Having said that, individual stocks, DLF is a sell with a stop of 184, target of 170. DHFL is a sell with a stop of 82, target of 70. And Hexaware is a buy with a stop of 353, target of 370.
Okay, actually today something converse is happening. The mid caps have not fallen, but Nifty Bank and Nifty have both kind of given way, and now the Nifty is heading towards the 11,850 mark, 869.70 as we speak. The Nifty Bank is the one that's lost the most, and actually it's falling on several pillars. Yes Bank is down 2.5%. Kotak Mahindra Bank is down 1.2, IndusInd is down 1.1, ICICI is down 0.6, and all these are pillars of Nifty Bank. SBI is down 0.5%. So all this weighing on the Nifty Bank, as it were. Mitesh Thakkar, good morning to you yet again. What are the trades at 10?
Lata, I've been kind of slightly optimistic on the IT side, so I have chosen Wipro as one of the long trades. Keep a stop at 294, look for targets of 313. While iShares is a sell, it's moved down slightly, but around 20,100 can be shorted with a stop at 20,400 for targets of 19,500.
Okay, Prakash Gaba is also here with us, and it's not looking good for the market at all. Prakash, the Bank Nifty is now down almost 150 points.
Yes.
How are you approaching this, and what would the stock calls be?
Well, Bank Nifty is a sell. I would say it's closer to support now. Will it hold is the problem. I think yesterday's low is a damn good low to work with. If aggressive trader can actually buy here, closer to this, and with a stop below yesterday's low, we could see a bounce up there. So risk reward ratio is certainly in favor of Bank Nifty at this point of time now. I like two stocks, one long, one short. Power Grid looks okay. Possibly we'll see a target of 200, stop below 193. Indigo looks like a sell. We could see a slide to 1630 zones, stop above 1690.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us with your strategies at 10. The market now is again a little bit of buying on dips. Okay, it's a slightly weak market, but the bulls have not thrown in the towel by any means. There's enough buying coming in at lower levels as well. For the moment, we're going to take a break, but we continue with corporate analysis. Sanjay Chambriya, the Vice Chair.
Well, for now, the market is under pressure. It's down but not out. So the Bank Nifty is down about 150 points. But let's find out what's happening with the NBFC space itself. Sanjay Chambriya, the Vice Chairman and MD of Magma FinCorp, joins us now to talk about crisis that's currently underway and whether things have normalized a bit. Mr. Sanjay, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Can you tell us what the situation as far as lending is concerned? Because about the last time we spoke with you, you had indicated that there was a complete liquidity freeze in the market. Lending was just not taking place. Have things gotten better?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Lata. In fact, I had mentioned last time that I expected the liquidity scenario to ease up by about June. However, with the developments in the last 2 months, again in the financial sector, the banks are not really comfortable taking exposure on the entities in the sector, thinking as to what may further happen. So therefore, there is a apprehension in the minds of the bankers, and the liquidity situation has not eased up at all.
Okay, so at the moment, they are not getting money, or are you getting money at a high price?
See, the money is selectively available. Like last time also I indicated that there is a very clear divide between two type of companies. The companies which are into retail lending, wherein the end customers are very individual and self-employed and non-corporate. And the asset classes like the revenue generating, which is vehicles and tractors and SME entrepreneurs. Whereas the large ticket size, the corporate developer funding, infrastructure funding, there is a severe squeeze in terms of flow of funds there. So as far as our experience is concerned, you know that we are completely into retail, so we've been able to borrow money, but the cost of funds, as you said rightly, has gone up. And second is that still the bankers feel that everybody says that we are doing very well. So who do we trust and who do we not trust? So I think there is a crisis of confidence, and which banks want to evaluate as the company that they are lending now. Will they be safe and secure or not? So it's very important for companies that they provide confidence to the banks that the asset quality is very good, and we are lending to the ultimate customer, and they are paying on time, and they are not deviating from their policies.
Okay, so for you, can you tell us for Magma FinCorp itself, how much money have you needed and borrowed, say over the last couple of months, and at what rate? How much has the cost of funds gone up for you?
See, like last year also, we had grown our disbursal by about 20% and our AUM grew by 8%. In the current year, in the first 2 months, which is April and May, our disbursals have been up by about more than 15%, which is one of the rare instances in the NBFC space, because the companies are rather scaling down disbursals. And that, as I said, is a clear divide between the retail players and the wholesale players. Having said that, the cost of funds have gone up by another 15 to 20 basis points, which I had mentioned last time that I expect the cost of funds to go down only from the second quarter onwards once the situation stabilizes. But unfortunately, the situation has not stabilized yet. And now all our hopes are pinned on the incoming budget on 5th of July, and maybe if the ministry makes certain announcements easing up the flow of credit to the sector. Because while we are requesting RBI, but RBI, it is outside the remit of RBI to tell banks to increase the flow of credit to the NBFCs. But government as the major shareholder and government as a major constituent in improving the economic situation can certainly nudge and direct the banks, and which is what we expect the government to do.
You said disbursements grew in the 2 months by 15%. How much did the assets under management grow?
So that is something which is difficult to say as of now, because there is also repayments, and then there are monthly payment, and there are pre-closures by the customers, and this is something that we evaluate at the end of the quarter. But then typically what we see that if there is a disbursal grow by about 15%, the AUM growth also will be about 4 to 5% at least, if not more.
You have an exposure to, I mean, you guys lend to the passenger vehicle sector, you guys lend to the tractor sector as well. Within the auto space, where are you seeing the highest pain coming from, and where do you think things could get worse?
So in fact, in terms of, first of all, the asset quality, what I would like to share is that both the tractor or the auto segment, I am witnessing very steady cash flows. In fact, month of April was unusually good. Month of May was somewhat subdued, and that is largely on account of the elections, because what happens in the tier 3 to tier 6 towns when the elections are held, the flow of cash money gets disturbed. And all our customers who are basically non-bankable ones, a lot of them pay installments in cash, and therefore that gets delayed. So we hope to recover that in the month of June. So April, May, June, I guess it would be as normal as it was last year.
Okay. How about margins? You said that cost of funds rose by 20 bips. You're able to pass it on?
No, not really, because in case of vehicle finance, as it is, the vehicle sales have been going down, and as you have seen that the auto sales are almost at multi-year low. And in this market, it is not advisable that you further increase the cost of credit to the hapless customer. So what has happened is, I would suspect that the margins, the net interest margins will be down by about 15 to 20 basis points.
Okay. You said a steady cash flow coming in from the tractor and the auto segment. So you're not expecting any significant defaults there, and also from the SME segment that you lend to, how are the cash flows now?
See, in fact, in the otherwise gloomy scenario, so far as the liquidity is concerned and the cost of funds going up by about 20 bips, the brighter side of the overall business picture is that the cash flows are very steady, and all the customers are able to honor their installments, be it in the SME segment or in the tractor or the auto segment. Typically the second quarter is a lean quarter because of the rainy season. The deployment of vehicles actually slows down, and even in the agriculture, after the harvesting, the next season will be in October and November. So typically July, August and September is poor in terms of collections, and that is what we factor in our budgeting forecast for the year. So far so good. I don't see any stress so far as the cash flows are concerned from any part of the country, and we are operating in pretty much about 22 states, and so I can talk well representative of the Indian market.
Sure. So basically, your GNPAs fell from 6.3 to 4.8 in the last quarter when you reported numbers. You see that falling further, remaining the same?
So quarter to quarter, Lada, it could vary a little bit, but this year we are determined to further bring it down.
Okay.
And 4.8, we will hopefully bring it below 4% in this year. This is the guidance that we have given.
Okay.
Because the asset quality in the last 2 years, what we have originated, has been holding up very well.
Okay. All right. We'll have to leave it at that. Sanjay Chamriya, pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for joining us with a wealth of details.
Wealth of details, and very candid actually, saying that there is a crisis of confidence still underway. They were expecting things to improve in the month of April or so, but no improvement just yet. Banks are still wary of lending. Let's do one thing, since we're talking about banks, let's take a break. Lined up is a very special non-balance sheet chat with the man behind the conglomerate, Kumar Birla. Lata had that exclusive chat with him. You'd want to stay tuned in for this one.
Welcome back. At the moment, markets are not worse off than they were in the first 45 minutes of trading. There is a bit of pain across the board. Mid-caps have not done as badly as they have been doing. Advanced declines are 3 stocks in the green for 2 in the red. So not terrible, but markets not really able to find the verve and the fuel to get higher. That's where the advanced declines stand. Okay, since they've given us a bit of a pause, let's take you to a very special conversation with a rarely heard voice in the media. I caught up with Kumar Birla, the chairman of Aditya Birla Group, for a freewheeling chat, not on balance sheets and P&L, but on what it means to be being Birla, an attempt to unveil the man behind the conglomerate. In this excerpt, Birla, of course, chats business. He chats about what should be the earth-shattering reforms that he would like for the Indian economy. I must tell you that there is a candid rapid-fire round in the last 5 minutes, so maybe you will enjoy that.
I think that there's lots more that can be done on the ease of doing business. The government has done a lot. I think the state governments have to now, follow suit and work in a collaborative way with the center. And now with the BJP having the kind of national mandate that it has, there can't be a better time than now to expect that to happen. That is one thing I think that can really move the needle and make a huge difference.
These last 5 years have been pretty difficult for Indian business. Since I speak more about corporate earnings growth for, say, Nifty companies has been in single digits for the last 5 years. How do you see the next 5 years? Do you think we are breaking out? Because we've had some big changes like GST and bankruptcy code. Is the next 5 years looking bright, or do you think the slowness will persist?
I think it has to be a sector by sector and company by company approach, Lata. So you can't generalize and say that we are breaking out or we're kind of stuck. It depends on which sector. Even within a sector, you have 2 or 3 stars that, you know, all of us know about. So I think it has to be specific to a few companies as opposed to a broad sweep.
No, the economy ran, sprinted fairly hard from 2003 maybe to about 2010-11. But the slowness that came after the great financial crisis, it hit us a little later. That slowness has not gone away. So you see that
if you see the BJP manifesto, and I completely trust it, I'm sure you do too, they're talking about investing 100 trillion rupees in infrastructure in the next 5 years. So we're growing at about 6.5–7% today. I think what we need to do, and I'm sure, I mean, it's nothing that is sort of a unique perspective, but we need to build an economy that intrinsically can grow at 8 to 10%. And for that, you need to build infrastructure. So you've got roads, bridges, of course, physical infrastructure, also soft infrastructure like health, education, so on and so forth. So I think infrastructure, developing infrastructure is not just important to sustain growth, it's also important from the point of view of creating jobs, of creating employment, and the whole virtuous cycle that goes with that.
There is this huge NBFC issue, and banks not willing to bankroll, maybe not NBFC, maybe more housing finance companies. Do you see this dragging on for a goodish bit?
You know, I mean, any regulation today is going to separate the men from the boys. And it actually depends on how fast the RBI wants to come in and either provide a bailout or they want that shakeout to happen. I think that there are 2 or 3 such names, quite unexpectedly. And I think that, you know, whether it takes a month or 3 months, that process of separation will definitely happen.
But your sense is it's better that there is a shakeout before, general help is provided?
I think so. I think that whenever there is a situation like this, the faster it resolves, the better. And I think that the faster the weaker players or players who, I don't mean these in particular, but the ones that have governance issues, kind of are taken out of the system, it's healthier for the industry as a whole.
You know, IBC, has that changed the way businessmen think and behave, the bankruptcy code?
I'm sure it will going forward. I mean, it's just in the process. It's a new thing introduced 2 years ago. But I think that the psychology of an entrepreneur in India has changed forever. No one really thought that their companies could be taken away from them 2 years ago. And whilst it was a harsh decision, I think that it does good for the fitness of Indian industry going forward.
It's also giving you a lot of opportunities to buy companies, bankruptcy. Are you busy buying more?
So we did. I mean, we bought into JP.
Yes.
There is nothing else that
interests
you. And we don't want to come to the NCLT because we bought so many companies from the NCLT.
Now for the Jaldi 5.
As if I wasn't scared of you already, Lata. You got Jaldi 5.
Okay, let's see how Jaldi this is. Well, who is your favorite business leader? And I've picked 5. Ratan Tata, N. Chandra, Mukesh Ambani, Gautam Adani, Sunil Mittal.
My favorite business leader by and far is Narayan Murthy. So, you know, when he says that a clean conscience is the softest pillow you can sleep on. And I think he's practiced that through his career. So he head and shoulders comes, over anyone else.
Okay, then let me ask, who is your favorite, political administrative leader? I won't give you choices. Someone who has impressed you, either a civil servant or a politician, or just a national leader.
So I've been very impressed by Nirmala Sitharaman. I'm not saying that because she's the new FM, but I think that she has, well, maybe because of that also. Don't take this out of your clip on CNBC.
Well, the next question will definitely be, what do you want from Nirmala Sitharaman's budget?
All right, that was really an interesting conversation with Kumar Birla. We will go back to that in a bit. But in the meantime, let's also give you a quick check on what's happening in the market. Now, what the Nifty is doing is managing to recover a tad bit from its lows. So just look at the index itself. It's now still down about 34 odd points, but the low point that it hit was 11,849. And now we're back to 11,880. So that's a 40-point recovery that you've seen in the index in the last 10-15 minutes. Let's pull up the contribution plate and find out what's really leading to that recovery on the index. L&T is doing pretty well this morning, so up about 1.5%. ONGC is up almost about 0.5%. And some of these, stock for all seasons kind of variety, Bajaj Finance, etc., continue to move up. So that stock as well is up almost about 0.3%. Today is actually turning out to be a good day for IT too. So Infosys is up about 0.5% or so, not too much, but still holding up in the green at the moment. The problem pocket for this market continues to be banks. So the Bank Nifty is still down about 150 odd points, and names like Yes Bank, IndusInd Bank. IndusInd Bank, there's just no letting up of the pain. There was some relief after conciliatory comments coming in from Romesh Sopti, but that has once again, as you can see, it's still down about 1.5%. But as we wind down on the show, here is something to note. Secure yourself and your family with life insurance. CNBC-TV18 is partnering with ICICI Prudential Life Insurance for the initiative called Mission Insure India Insurance for All. Now, the objective is to create awareness and disseminate knowledge about life insurance and the need to protect one's family. This Protection Day is dedicated to inculcate the thought of protecting family's future. Do go ahead for this one. For further details, you can follow us on our social media platforms as well. Thanks so much for watching Bazaar.